Beep beep. What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and in today's tutorial we're going to be talking about bass. Now in this video, guys, the bass lines we're going to be talking about, I've probably made tutorials on before already on them, but again, I know there's a lot of people that haven't watched them, so I'm just going to kind of bring them into one mega ultra duper super licious out video, and that's how we're going to be going. Now, creating Tech House Basslines, guys, is very simple, and a lot of them just range from a Moog Sub 37 or Moog bass sounds. The Moog, great for basses, and the Moog's going to utilize essentially the basic shapes excluding the sign. It's going to have a triangle, a saw, a square, and then from there the square gets pulse width modulated to give you some other parameters. So if you go into Serum here, you can kind of see those. In theory, that's all you should really need. However, we are going to be talking about some other techniques as well, like utilizing a tom bassline, etc. Now, if you want to support the channel, guys, make sure to check out Deceiver Volume 3, which came out last Friday. A lot of you guys already supported it, and thank you, guys. It's one of the more sought after packs. I always get people asking me to make Volume 4 already, Volume 3, Volume 2. They did really good, so I hope that you guys are enjoying them. And if you want to support the channel, it has 180 Serum presets. With that sellout out of the way, let's get straight into this tutorial. The first bassline you need to know how to make is a standard, which is going to be a sustained bass. Now, there are multiple variations to this, which you're going to see, but programming it shouldn't be that hard, and I'll show you guys multiple ways that you can do it. Now, inside of Serum here, we're going to have the basic shapes, and like I said, this is all you're going to need. Now, ideally, what I tell most people to do is if they just want a very standard bass is to go with a square and saw combination. The saw is going to be layered up an octave there, and the reason for that is, one, we're going to put a low pass filter on this guy. Now you can see here, I'm hitting the D. That's like kind of one of the lowest notes you can go in Tech House. Now, once I bring in that saw, you can see how well it fills it out. Now, the problem with a lot of people when they make Tech House Basslines is they'll do something like this. And that sounds good, but now we're going to fill out the top end. Essentially, this oscillator here is giving us a higher version of the D, which is going to give us mid-low frequencies that we drastically need in those low keys. So that's where we kind of get this technique from. Now, another newbie mistake I see is, and they told me a sign should always be a sub, and that's what I'm going to fucking do. The problem with the sine wave as a sub is that when you are utilizing it in like A minor, let's say, it sounds great, but the moment you go any lower than that, then it stabs you in the heart. Because you can't hear him at all. You can't hear the sign. So that's where, again, you're going to have to saturate the sign. So you're going to have to distort it or put some sort of saturation. The reason for that is, again, check what happens when we bring in some saturation. Now we can hear it. From there, you use a post filter or you EQ some of the upper harmonics you don't want. But at the end of the day, if you hear that, and if we get rid of that, and just go with, again, what I stated before, just a beautiful square, they sound eerily similar, okay? And that's the point. You know, pick or choose your poison. You can go with whichever route. But making, again, a Tech House bass, we're just going to go with a square and a saw like this, which gives us the nicest one. The key is to remove all this stuff we don't need. And pretty much we have that. Now, with this bass, you can do a lot. You can definitely do glides if that's what you're into. Okay, you can just use it as a very standard, like. Okay, and again, the amount you let out will determine. Now, the next important thing with this bass, and most of the basses we're going to be talking about in this video, is the fact that you want that RM phase to be at 0%. What that is telling Serum is that we ain't fucking around, but at the same time, it's telling it that we want to start at the same phase the whole time. Now, with this is going to come in very clutch when we start working with basslines that are going to be constantly hitting, moving really fast, okay? However, here, we shouldn't have an issue having this up because as you're going to see, it's going to sound pretty good. Now, there's much more to the sustained bassline, okay? What usually I like to do is I like to hit it with a bit of tape saturation just to kind of amp it up a little bit more. From there, we can compress it just a tiny bit. The attack and release here really kind of don't matter. Usually as a, let's say you ask me, what should my attack and release be at for basslines? Always send 54, 55. From there, it's all about EQing, and you can boost some of the mid-lows in it. Okay, now usually when I make bass lines for my packs, which, you know, a lot of you guys like the basses in them because you say they sound really good out of the box. The reason for that is that I'm always running span. So I'm always running this, and I'm making sure that I have enough good mid-low there as well as some good frequencies there. So you can kind of see this area here is a little bit down, which is fine, but we can always move this a little bit more to the left. And then it's like before it sounded good to you, and now it's like, whoa, I didn't know it could sound even better. But that's the key, guys. You know, sustained bass lines are going to be made this way. Now, there's some variations we can do, of course. I mean, it all just depends on you if you want the sustained bass line to have a bit of punch in the beginning. And if you do, then you route an envelope 2, which is going to kind of give us that punch. You don't want to open it fully up all the way, but just a bit to kind of give it a little bit of movement. And from there, we can mess with the release, you know, maybe less. And again, but the sustained bass, again, it sounds great, and that's the way we're going to be approaching it and making it. You don't have to have, again, that the envelope on it if you're just going to be sustaining it all the way through, or using it like more ignite, like just straight up. Again, this is going to be the best bet in getting something that sounds good. And again, you can always take it with by utilizing a sine and saturating it a little bit as well. Now, the next sound we're going to be talking about, guys, I like to call the Resonator. This bass line is heavily used by people, and when you usually use it, you're not going to be making anything super housey. It's going to sound a little bit more garagey, but again, Chris Lake, Martin, Ikin have used it in some of their songs. Martin Ikin used it in Hands Up, and Chris Lake used it in Girl, What You Talking About with yeah, I think it's called that. And then again, it's a really cool bass. So this is how we're going to do it. So what we're going to do is just utilize a square wave. We're going to utilize a filter. You can go with whichever MG low 18, 12, 24. It's just how strict the slope is. And from there, it's all about shaping it properly. So we're going to do a couple of variations to it. The first one is going to be more of a simple one. We're just going to add a bit of resonance. From there, we can bring in like maybe another sound. And it's just how much you want to let out, of course. You know, we could do it like. You can put a bit of detunement if you want it wide, which go for. Okay, so very simple kind of sound. We can do a lot with it. A lot of people, and what I recommend you do for this is you put a low pass, because now when we have, you probably recognize that, but now we can add a bit of attack to it as well, just a bit of it, so that we get this nice kind of. And that's going to kind of give it a fresh vibe as well. This is still the Resonator, but again, it's just different kind of vibes, and you can mess with this now if you remove the low end, because. And again, we can kind of bring in like a bit of release to it, just to kind of give it a bit of life there, more decay if you want. Mono it down. Ryan face. Now again, the con of using this Resonator is the fact that you lose a lot of low end. So again, I recommend that you use this with a sub if possible. We can also do really cool sounds with this. For instance, I could go kind of like this and, you know, fuck it, like put some... You can kind of see how that resonance just, the Resonator gives us a very nice kind of cut and bite. I'm gonna put like an OTT just to kind of bring it. And we're gonna use another filter here just to kind of. Having fun. Let's see what we can do. And you can also make two-way sounds with it, but that's the Resonator, guys. And again, the simplest form of it is going to be utilizing that square. That's going to be the one that you hear the most, but just letting you know, there's different variations in the way that these tech house guys like Marin and Ikin are making them sound more interesting is by that slide attack that we added to it. The next tech house bassline we're going to be talking about, guys, is going to be more for like dirty birdish stuff. Walker and Royce, Chris Lake have used it. Again, a lot of artists use it, and that is going to be the 808 thump. And the way we're going to create that, guys, is simple. We're just going to go with a sine wave sort of wavetable. We're going to use the envelope, and we're going to put a bit of decay to this to just give it a thump. There. We're going to Alt-Shift-Click. One direction. There it is. Nope. We're just going to lower it down. From here, you're going to control that click tone by where you put this and also by your decay. Okay. So that's going to be more of a thump to it, okay? Now, there's other ways to make this thump more, like if you want to put resonance. You can do sort of stuff like that, but we'll just keep it simple. Now, from here, there are multiple avenues you can take this. The first one is mono legato on, sustain down, high decay, high release, so that when you play it, show it me. Give me that 909 open hat now. Go. So this is going to be more of a mellower one, and there's ways to make it even more aggressive so that it fits. Oh, I'm about to rap. Give it to me now. Okay, and now if you don't like that, you don't like, yeah, that's too much release to it, send, then you lower that down, you lower your sustain, decay. From there, tube down. If you want more of a so good. And from there, if you want to add more of a click, then you can go here and find something that will work. One shot mode. And that's going to make the biggest of differences when we add that layer. You want to make it fit a little more, then you use the filter on the noise, everything together. Give it to me now. Give it to me now. And let's go MG Low 24. Control that volume a bit more. Papi, ven pa acá. So the next bassline we're talking about is the FM bassline, guys. Now, this one's going to be very similar to the Resonator, but the difference is that it's going to have more of a deep housey vibe. And again, more garagey tech house is what we want to use this for. So you can kind of think of old school Shiba San with this. But the way we do this, guys, I'll show you guys two ways. One, we're going to utilize, again, the analog wavetables, baby. Anything else just sounds too corny, to be honest, and it doesn't have enough power to really carry a tech house track. We're going to go FM here. Now, this is another good way to create a sustain bass as well. If you want to get that FM vibe on it, because you can control add upper harmonics with FM. From here, you're going to have different pitch ratios. So 0 to 0 octave, that's 1-to-1 ratio. 0 to 1, that's 1 to 2. 0 to 2, that's 1 to 3, and etc. The difference is that you're gonna add different upper harmonics, but at the expense of low end. So you gotta be really careful. All right, so you kind of heard that in a lot of G House, like Dusty Cloud. I think that's his name, Dust Cloud, whatever his name was. I forgot. He had a really cool song with like this stuff, but more G Housey, but still kind of tech house vibes in it. But now the one we're making, we're gonna use an envelope. We're gonna route that to this. What you say? There we go, baby. And now from there, let's just shape it a bit. Now you can kind of see how it sounds a little too, and that's where the filter comes into play. So we do a bit of subtractive synthesis. We take away from the sound because obviously we just want parts of it. We're gonna maybe go longer on this guy here and use that to route it here. So that way we're gonna get. Now from here, again, R and phase down, so it always has constant power, constant D. Now we can kind of distort a bit. Maybe with a soft clipper, so we don't lose that nice FM vibe to it. I'm gonna go less. We can lower that. Higher pitch ratio just gives you more uppers, but again, you can kind of see how the low end's suffering a bit, so we're going to come in with a direct outside. Control those frequencies added by the OTT. So that's another FM vibe. Now the other way to get this sound is by utilizing the digital waveforms here. You can utilize add seconds and all. Instead of routing it to the FM, we're just going to route it to the wavetable. So again, there I'm just kind of going through some of them so you guys can see the vibes that you can get with it. But that's the FM bass. You can make deep house basses. You can widen it if you want with a hyper. But again, the only thing I'll ask from you is if you're learning from me is you get rid of that low end that gets widened, detuned, because there you're going to get a little bit of issues. Other than that, you guys, that's going to be the FM bass. And finally, guys, the last bass we're going to talk about is the saw bass, which again, if you've watched this whole video, you probably know how to make it already, but I'm going to show you guys some variations that are coming up a little bit in the more modern tech house. Like John Summit did a really cool track, or I think it was like Pour the Milk. I don't know if it was John Summit or someone else, but in that song, there's like this really nice wide saw bass that is used as an additive bass. You still have the sub bass line that we created, the sustain one or the punchy one, down the center, but these are just being used on top to kind of give spice to the track. Okay, so here we have the saw. Now, first off, creating a saw bass is really nice. The thing that makes it hard is how much of the uppers of the saw do you really want in the song? That's what makes it hard, because utilizing a standard saw bass is like a no-brainer. It will sound good. Okay, the thing is how do we get it to sound good and sound clean? So we can always go with a bit of tape sat. That's my favorite now that it got added into Sarah. I'm just gonna kind of bring it up. Okay, from there, just a bit of more. I'm just getting rid of the top end that gets added with the distortion here. So post signal flow stuff, or yeah, signal. Now you can come in with an OTT on it. I can bring in back dynamics by utilizing this, and now just go. It's a heavily processed. Sounds fucking great. All right, so monolegatos. Can add a bit of resonance. So it gives it more of an acidy vibe as well. Now if we get rid of this. From there we can kind of, again, the hardest thing is just how much you're gonna be letting out of the sound. So again, if we don't want to go with now the sound I really wanted to talk about, again, we're gonna widen this up. Arm phase up for the. And from here, this is what I like to do in order to create a very heavily layered bass, but that sounds good. I'm gonna use the sub. Probably a sign if I'm not gonna go too low. From there, saw, we'll get ran through here with a high pass. Okay. Okay, from there, we're gonna use a filter and now here to bring it all together. And now we're gonna have a wide sound. Okay, let's go a little. And from here, just finding where you want. Now, this is where span plays a huge role here because we really want to get those frequencies down properly. So you can kind of see how the subs, but then this is down here. So I can maybe move this high pass a little bit more to the left. There we go, like so. And now maybe. Anyways, guys, those are all right, guys, and those are going to be the 5 main Tech House Basslines I wanted to teach you guys today. Of course, there's a lot more with different variations, but those are going to be the staples that you're going to see constantly coming up again and again and again. It's up to you to decide what variations you liked and which one you want to use. From there, if you want to make it sound unique, try layering other basses on top, like with different vibes, like similar to the Resonator one where we made that brassy sound, these kind of stuff, the Marin Ikin one, and you can do a lot of cool stuff that way. Gene Ferris also has a really sick track where he layers this sort of FME bass on top of a sub. And again, it's all about creativity and kind of understanding the staples so that you can make them sound different. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found this informative, and I'll catch you guys next time for another video. If you want to support the channel, Deceiver Volume 3 is out at evilsounds.com.